What's going on, everybody? Nanelly Baxter Pokemon is back with another deck profile. I told you I'd do it. I told you I would do it. We have the Jumbo Shrimp Crimson Invasion Edition. Yes, I said I would do it. Here it is. Gyarados GX. Let me show you guys what I got cooking. So, we'll start out with Olin Vulpix. That little guy helps us set up with Beacon, helps us search for up to 2 Pokemon, reveal them, put them in our hand. You guys know that card by now. So we'll set that over there. We're running 4 copies of Magikarp with Flail 10 times. This attack does 10 damage times the number of damage counters on this Pokemon. Doesn't seem like much considering Magikarp's HP is only 30. You'll see why I chose this Magikarp in a moment, though. Alright. And yes, the big shrimp himself. 3 copies of Gyarados GX. Whopping 240 HP for a Stage 1 Pokemon. That's crazy. Guys, the attack cost is terrible for this card. Terrible. Waterfall, 3 energy. One of them has to be water and only does 70 damage. Draconic Disaster, 100 plus for 5 energy, but only 1 has to be water. If there's any Stadium card in play, this attack does 100 more damage. Then you discard the Stadium. That's really what we're looking for, is Draconic Disaster. And then Dreadstorm GX for 1 water energy. Discard all energy from each of your, or discard an energy from each of your opponent's Pokemon. We technically have 4 attacks. We have Flail. You'll see how we're going to be able to use that in a moment. So 3 copies of Gyarados GX. Alright. 2 copies of Zorua. You guys probably see where I'm going with this. 1 copy of Zoroark GX for Riotous Beating, 120 damage if you have 6 Pokemon in play. But more so, it's for the trade ability. Once during your turn, you may discard a card from your hand if you do draw 2 cards. And then 1 copy of the Stand-In Zoroark for Mind Jack. Okay, so that's our lineup so far. Now we have a few tech cards in here. The first one being Manaphy GX. If you guys saw, Gyarados GX's retreat cost is something like 4. However, Aquatube, each of your Pokemon that has any water energy attached has no retreat cost. So he's in there to help us get our Gyarados in and out, in and out. This is why I chose the Magikarp from Evolutions with Flail. Time Recall, the ability. Each of your evolved Pokemon can use any attack from its previous evolutions. You still need the necessary energy to use the attack. So, if Gyarados GX has 200 damage on it, that's 20 damage counters. We're using Flail for 200 damage for 1 water energy. So, that's if we're in a pinch or we're not able to get Draconic Disaster off for, 200 damage. Glaceon EX, that's to serve as a wall. As long as we can hit Crystal Ray, we can then not be affected by our opponent's evolution Pokemon. That'll get by his time to build up our Gyarados GX. And the last card, 1 copy of Tapu Lele, simply for Wonder Tag. You guys know how we do it with this card. Bench the Pokemon, search your deck for a supporter. Alright, so that's our Pokemon lineup. The Jumbo Shrimp Crimson Invasion Edition. Moving on to our supporters, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of N. You guys know what this card does. Shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw the number of cards you have left as your prize cards. So if you have 6 prize cards left, you draw 6. You have 4 left, you draw 4. Your opponent does the same thing. 1, 2, 3 copies of Professor Sycamore. If we have a junk hand, we can get rid of it, draw 6 new cards. 1 copy of Lily. Draw a card until you have 6 in your hand. If it's your first turn, draw until you have 8 in your hand. 1, 2, 3 copies of Guzma. I think this is pretty standard with most decks. You guys know what Guzma does. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. If you do, switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Now, Manaphy's Aquatube helps us work our way around putting Pokemon out in the active that we don't actually want there. And 1 copy of Lusamine. Yes, we have a Crimson Invasion trainer that made it to the deck list. Put 2 in any combination of supporter or stadium cards. Stadium cards, guys. That's why, remember, we're using Draconic Disaster. We gotta have a stadium in play so we can hit 200 damage. Alright? So there's our supporter lineup. It's pretty straightforward. It's mostly built around switching our opponent's Pokemon out, as well as resetting our hand. All right, onto the items. 1, 2, 3 copies of Ultra Ball. This is actually mostly used to get our Zoroark, to get our Zoruas, to get our Shining Celebis. We don't actually need, and if we need to get the evolutions, if we need to get Gyarados out, we need use the Ultra Ball for that. Okay, so we got 3 copies of Ultra Ball. 1, 2, 3 copies of Aqua Patch. That helps us get our water energy onto Gyarados and power him up as quick as we can. We Ultra Ball energy away, then use the Aqua Patch to attach it. 1 copy of Energy Lotto. You guys saw Gyarados. Holy Toledo, the guy needs some DCEs. So that lets us look at our top 7 cards of our deck. We can reveal an energy card we find there and put it into our hand, then shuffle your deck afterward. We're running 4 copies of DCE, so we're running 2 copies of Special Charge. Shuffle 2 special energy cards from your discard into your deck. 1, 2 copies of Bodybuilding Dumbbells. I know, right? Stage 1 Pokemon. This card is attached to. Gets 40 HP. Our Gyarados goes from 240 to 280 HP. So it's going to take a lot of hitting to knock it out. And remember, we have the Flail attack. 2 copies of Floatstone. That's actually for our Alolan Vulpix. If we can't grab an energy, get it out of there. For our Shining Celebi, for our Zoroarks, for our Manaphy's. This is not to be used for Gyarados because we're trying to save our tool space with the dumbbells. 1 copy of Field Blower to get rid of pesky tools. We want to keep stadiums in play, guys. Remember, Draconic Disaster does 100 more damage if there's a stadium in play. 1 copy of Super Rod to get our Pokemon energy back, and a copy of Rescue Stretcher to get our Pokemon back. Either 1 into our hand or 3 into our deck. Okay? Moving on to our stadiums. We rely on stadiums. So we're running 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of Brooklet Hill once during each player's turn. That player may search their deck for a basic water Pokemon or a basic fighting Pokemon, put it into their bench, shuffle their deck afterward. This is to help us get our, not our Gyarados, I'm sorry. This is to help get our Manaphy's out, our Magikarps out, our Glaceon if we need to get that out. Okay? And finally, the energy counts. The energy count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 copies of water energy. 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of double colorless energy. That will do it, guys, for our Gyarados GX deck profile. You guys may have already seen on our Instagram, I just kind of gave you guys an update on our Sunday Showdown. For the time being, it's going to be put on hold, but you never know. You might see this Gyarados GX come out and play in a surprise Sunday Showdown. We'll see. But that's it, guys. That'll do it. There's our energy again. Our stadiums. Our items. Man, oh man. This deck is it's interesting to play, you know. Very interesting to play. There's all of our supporters again. Holy Toledo, holy Toledo. Yeah, and our Pokemon. So many fish, so many fish, so many carp. Have an awesome day. Later.